seems that the much maligned TV show The Crown on Netflix has a brand new secret advisor after the departure of a once esteemed consultant on the show. Why did they leave? And more importantly, who is the new secret advisor? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the heart of London. Nice to see you today. As I've often said here on the show, I don't know about you, but The Crown is a lot of fun. You can't take it seriously. Yes, they dress people up to look like the British monarchy. You know, the lady playing Princess Anne does look like Princess Anne in that period. Prince Charles looks like Prince Charles, but that's about where it ends, really. Even when you've got esteemed actresses like Imelda Staunton and others taking on the role of the Queen, you can't really take it seriously because you know it's fictional. The man behind The Crown, Peter Morgan, has basically tried to make it into a soap opera, to make it, you know, one of those luxurious watches that people sadly now believe is factual and historical. One of the people that was an advisor on that show was none other than a close friend to the late Princess Diana, Jemima Khan. If you remember at the time, of course, she was married to Imran Khan and a very good friend of the late Princess Diana. You'll have seen lots of pictures of them in this particular latter period of Diana's life. And it was this that made Jemima decide to quit, because we're now getting into the era that actually does include the period that Jemima knew Diana. And she felt this wasn't the fairest representation of Diana at that period. Now, you have to say, you know, hats off to Jemima for basically turning away and saying, I don't want to be involved in this. It's not how she would want to be portrayed. But now a source tells me this. While of course The Crown are very sad to lose Jemima Khan as a creative consultant on the show, they're not too concerned because they've already signed up 2 top secret advisors. Now, what's interesting about this is, of course, if you think about it, and I'm not throwing any speculations out there or assuming or alleging at all, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because there are lots of people that The Crown, you know, the makers of The Crown could go towards and say, look, could you assist with this? We've already seen these people who have written books, you know, former butlers, press officers, that sort of stuff. And of course, it's just their account. But you have to remember also that they were there living their own versions of that life at that particular time in the royal court. But according to a very good source at The Crown, these 2 special advisors are, well, at the best placed source to actually advise exactly what went on in that particular period. Now, I find this very hard to believe when you think about it, because obviously I know what they're trying to allude to, but it simply couldn't be the case. How could they know what was going on? They were way too young. Somebody like Jemima Khan, of course, was the perfect choice. She was travelling with Diana, went to those countries that mattered a lot to her, and formed a very good close friendship. But for now it appears there's no luring Jemima back. Obviously she doesn't need the money, she certainly doesn't need the exposure, she's a very busy and successful lady. But for The Crown itself now, it would obviously spark some intrigue as to who exactly they've signed up. And more importantly, why are these 2 latest signings having to be in secret? Could it be to do with a big money-spinning deal? Or is it the fact that they are the lower end of the spectrum and simply don't want to expose that for fear of even more mockery moving forward as the 5th series comes to conclusion and on our screens later this year? As ever, when I know more, you'll know more.